So today we're going to work on Steve's first video, and we're going to show you how I do it in my little studio, and so we're going to create a video for Steve. So the first thing is I'll give you a little tour of this, my little studio, I guess you call it. I've modeled this after a bunch of other people's studios. Mostly there's a guy named Arc Absalon, and he runs a lot of videos on YouTube, and this is what he calls guerrilla style lighting. And first off, with this is just regular work lights. I think this whole thing right here cost me like 15 bucks. It's 250, 250, so 500 watts right here, and it's pointing towards my screen. And as you can see behind this, I've got an actual green screen, which I've used before, but mostly I use the white screen, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So we'll go over here, and this is my other set. And what you basically want to do, and you can watch Mark Absalon's videos, but you basically want to evenly light your green screen or white screen. So these things have little tabs where you can adjust the light, and I've kind of found this kind of works really well for adjusting it on this screen. And here is my backlight, hair light, whatever you want to call it. And I created these little barn doors myself. I just used some tin snips and some sheet metal, painted it black with some high intensity heat paint. I don't have it adjusted perfectly, but it's a 500 watts. But I only use 250 because if I go to 500, it's too much on the back of my head. And then over here, these are my diffusing shapes, or light diffuse, or softbox, I guess you could say. So basically, there's 500 watts, 500 watts, so I got 1,000 watts, and it points into this. It's a nylon mesh. You know, I got it at Joann's. It's a material shop down in Boulder, but Joann's is, I think, national wide.
Okay,
all right.
So Joann's Fabrics.
So this is from Joann's Fabrics, which there's a certain material, and there was a photographer that did an excellent post, and I could probably put the link to it. Talked about this particular type of material that he worked really well for him on how much it diffuses or passes through and all that stuff. Because if you don't have it, those lights, 1,000 watts right on you, is really, really bright. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust that camera once I get all the lights turned on, and I'll adjust it, the exposure, the focus, and some of the other parameters. And then what I do is I've got a mark right here on the floor, on the carpet, and this is where I stand, and I know that's 2.4 meters away from where I'm going to mount the camera. And what I do to focus and white balance is I've just had this is an old lamp that doesn't work anymore. It's just a white piece of paper, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to white balance on the sheet. I'm going to set the exposure to the point where I know it works really well with the white screen. And then I'm going to focus, exposure. There's a third one. Hold on, let me see. I got my cheat sheet right here. For this particular, so I do the white balance, I set the focus, and then exposure. I don't have to deal with the microphone anymore. I had a microphone problem. And then basically what I do is I'll take this microphone, which is a wireless microphone, and I just mount it right up here. And you won't even see this because I'll cut it out of the picture. I'll crop that. But for right now, I'm using this. And I've got some sound diffusing material on the walls. There's some fiberglass over here and some of that, so eliminates some of the echo, because this microphone is going to be not on me, it's going to be up a little higher. It's only like where I stand, it's only just a few inches from my mouth, probably less than a foot. So, but it still brings in some of the room acoustics, and I just want to make sure it gets more of a direct sound, so I take some of that stuff that's going on in the walls from echoes.
What are you putting it on a tripod?
And oh, here's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. What I do is actually mount it up here. I don't have a tripod tall enough, so I actually mount it up here. I used to use this as a teleprompter, and oh, I threw out all my stuff. But I found it doesn't, for me, the way, you know, because some people read really long scripts, like Eric Franks on Techno Show. He reads very long scripts, and I had it all set up with my computer and monitor to do that, but I just couldn't do it. So what I do is I print off just basically pieces of paper, and I just blow it up to like 24 point font, and then I can read it just fine. And it's close enough to the lens where you can't see my eye actually below the lens.
Right.
And with that distance. If I was closer, you'd probably notice I'm not looking into the lens. And what you want to do is you want to get the lens should be at your eye height, so you can see I'm pretty tall, so this is pretty high up, and I just don't have a tripod that goes that high.